From being part of the biggest shoe deal war in modern times, to being sued for $100 million for breaching a contract, and being involved with a porn star, the prodigal son from the Duke Blue Devils has done it all in a short time span. So let's take a look at his ultimate highlight reel in this video featuring 10 rare things you didn't know about Zion Williamson. Starting with number 10, for an athlete as exceptional as Zion, it doesn't come as a surprise that he was multi-talented to an extent that other universities and their sports programs were in line to sign him. Which brings us to the time when it was revealed that Zion was approached by then LSU tight ends coach Eric Mateos for a football scholarship. Zion was approached to play as a tight end, and as per Bleacher Report, Mateos compared Williamson's combination of size at 6'7" and 285 pounds and athleticism to Carolina Panthers defensive end Julius Peppers and Houston Texans defensive end Jadeveon Clowney. Unfortunately, fate had it otherwise, as Zion wasn't interested in playing football and had his heart set on playing basketball, and eventually made his decision to join the Duke Blue Devils and became a college star that we have known. Now, quickly moving to number 9 is where things got heated up when it comes to brands, realizing Zion's value as a basketball prospect. It's interesting because two of the biggest brands in the world, Nike and Adidas, were reportedly in a massive bidding war to bring Zion to their roster of athletes with a massive shoe deal, which would have overtaken LeBron James' rookie shoe deal with Nike for $90 million. It had multiple factors going for it. Zion was courted by both brands in multiple ways, because as per USA Today, Williamson spent his high school years playing on the Adidas circuit. Both his high school and AAU teams were Adidas clubs, so the Duke star is familiar with their products. He was even seen wearing a full Adidas outfit shortly after the exploding shoe debacle. And interestingly enough, the shoe exploding debacle happened during a game when Zion's Nike shoe exploded, and their executives flew over to give him custom-sized Nike shoes. What further helped their case was that Duke was sponsored by Nike, so they had access to Zion for the entire season. In the end, Zion finally ended up signing for Nike's Jordan brand, closing a 7-year, $75 million deal, making it the second largest shoe deal for a rookie. Moving to number 8, we have something to talk about Zion the Good Guy, as it was reported during the pandemic that Zion Williamson brought out his philanthropic side when he paid the salaries of all the employees of the Smoothie King Center during the COVID-19 wave, which had caused the arenas to shut down. Williamson, along with Giannis Antetokounmpo, Blake Griffin, and some other athletes, was a stand-up guy for this class act, taking care of the employees of the organization that had signed him during that 30-day shutdown period, and it highlighted a sense of maturity from the young star. Which quickly brings us to number 7, and let's talk about where he gets those values from to be a good person, and that is his parents. Not a lot of people might know this, but Zion Williamson's parents, Lateef Williamson and Sharonda Sampson, both had sporting backgrounds. Zion's father, Lateef Williamson, was a defensive lineman who committed to NC State, but later transferred to Division II Livingstone, and his mom, Sharonda Sampson, was a sprinter herself at Livingstone, and that's how they met. Not only that, Zion's mom was actually his first ever coach during his youth, and when she eventually remarried, her partner Lee Anderson, a point guard at Clemson and Columbus State in college, had started coaching AAU teams. Safe to say, sports runs in the family. Moving to number 6, and this talks about how not just sports, but poetry might just be one of the things that Zion was also good at when he wasn't scoring 360-degree windmill dunks. Zion, shockingly enough, opened up on a podcast and during an interview about his love for poetry and discussed how he actually took a creative writing class at Spartanburg High School. His teacher, Bill Pell, who Zion credits for giving him a lot of confidence, once said of Zion's poetry, "He'd give them to me. He was very cautious. I began making suggestions, then all he did was write poems, and the deeper we got into the year, the more complicated and sophisticated they became. They were remarkable. Basketball, football, and poetry. Is there anything Zion isn't good at? Well, it looks like there is something after all. But what could it be? Well, Zion might just not be the best at maintaining professional partnerships, because that brings us to number 5 on this list of things you might not know about Zion Williamson, and that is about how once Zion was in the middle of an agency battle. Well, you see, in 2019, Zion had sued Prime Sports Marketing and its president, Gina Ford, saying his signed contract be declared null and void, and in return, the agency sued him for a jaw-dropping $100 million. Both parties were engaged in a lengthy legal battle where Zion's team talked about how the contract omitted several important clauses and why he signed for Creative Artists Agency LLC. What finally happened? Well, Zion emerged as the winner again as the court found that Gina Ford wasn't registered as an agent under the Uniform Athlete Agents Act in North Carolina and had violated the North Carolina Unfair and Deceptive Trade Practices Act. Safe to say, Zion had the world at his feet even after his legal battles. But the world at his feet was going to be shaken up soon, as his injuries had taken a toll on his NBA career, and he was just about to step into fatherhood as well with his partner Akima when he was slapped with allegations by a porn star. Well, you heard it right. At number 4, we have the revelations of porn star Mariah Mills talking about Zion Williamson's dirty deeds and how he's apparently a sex addict. Our detailed video talks about his baby mama drama and this highly controversial love triangle, so take a look at it right here. But just to give you some brief perspective, various chats and screenshots were leaked by Mariah Mills, which had Zion under the scanner. And part of those screenshots were some chats between Mills and Zion, which discussed how they got intimate, like really intimate, with some really not safe for work details. Akima has already threatened to release more content, and her alleged sex tape with Zion, in a sense then deleted tweet. So it remains to be seen what happens, but we're surely glued to our seats for this one. And now, before we reveal our top 3 things on this list, we would just be so thankful if you could like this video and share it, and subscribe to our channel for more such interesting content around the NBA, and hit the bell icon to get notifications for whenever we upload new content. And now, keeping the trend of controversies going at number 3, we go from one controversial player and discuss his connection with another controversial player. Yep, you guessed it, Ja Morant. Well, the connection here is that before coming to the NBA, both Zion Williamson and Ja Morant were on the same AAU team. Both Zion and Ja, years before being picked at number 1 and number 2 in the NBA draft, lined up for the South Carolina Hornets, and their talent was on display for everyone to see. Their paths could have crossed again in the NCAA as well, but Zion went to Duke and Morant went to Murray State, only for them to be competitors in the NBA now. However, with superstars dealing with their fair share of problems, it remains to be seen which one of them makes a triumphant return to form. Moving slightly aside from controversies and keeping things a little PG for now, let's move to number 2, where we discuss how Zion the mythical unicorn is actually a fan of anime. His mom also talked about how they watch Naruto together as a mother-son activity. Zion has publicly shared his love for Naruto as well, and has even gone so far as to list his top 5 animes too. The list is an interesting one, as it includes Naruto, One Punch Man, Death Note, One Piece, and Dragon Ball Z. To add to it, Zion once claimed that 80% of the NBA players are into anime. Now, that's a statistic we can perhaps never verify, but it's interesting that NBA players indulge in anime for entertainment. In addition to this, Zion's love for Naruto also resulted in a Jordan Brand collaboration with the popular anime to release a shoe. The Zion 1 in a special colorway dubbed the QB Mode. Wow! Now that ought to be the highlight of someone's sneaker collection. Which finally brings us to number 1 on this list, and that is how Zion, despite being a legend at Duke University and playing under the leadership of the legendary Mike Krzyzewski, aka Coach K, and being the draft prospect and hyped player that he became at the institution. All this may or may never have happened because Zion was very close to signing for Clemson. While there were about 5 colleges which included Clemson, Kentucky, South Carolina, Duke, and Kansas, Zion's stepfather, a former Clemson player himself, said that it pretty much came to a coin toss to Zion choosing his school. And well, what a decision, which left quite a few people shocked as Zion had promised. However, Clemson, who were widely touted to sign Zion in a battle for the ages, must have surely left with a bitter taste of rejection in their mouths after a last-minute decision, and not just for Zion. It has been noted that his signing would have perhaps changed the landscape of basketball at Clemson, but it still remains the biggest what-ifs in college basketball in a long time. And that brings us to the end of this video featuring 10 things you didn't know about Zion Williamson. Be sure to like it, share it, hit the subscribe button and support our channel, and click on the bell icon to get notifications for whenever we upload new content. See you soon in the next one.